Hello everybody, welcome back to Wolfeei. Today, we're looking at the second half of the MCC Blank Canvas teams, and this is quite an interesting event. There's some things that were announced and revealed this time around that were interesting, and we're going to talk about it entirely. Of course, starting with the team announcements, then also looking in-game at the people that are not in, that are notable that they're not in, and then furthermore, just some other comments regarding maybe what people expected, etc. Either way, let's get into the team announcements. Starting off with what I assume is the thumbnail team yet again, the Cyan team, which consists of Ant Frost, False Symmetry, Good Times with Scar, and Smallish Beans. This makes sense. This is expected. Ant and Joel have been wanting to team up together for a while. We know this. You know, they asked last time. They probably, I assume, asked this time because they got it. And False, me in the chat also predicted to be here because it makes sense. And Scar is a very fitting, of course, fourth player on this team. It should be a really fun team together. Obviously, in terms of cohesiveness and vibes, etc., it is going to work swimmingly, considering Ant and Scar have teamed up a lot of times. Joel and Ant wanted to team up together. There's 3 Hermits on this team. False, I don't know how often False and Ant have teamed, if at all, but should make for an interesting team overall. I think Ant and False actually teamed super recently, so should work really well. And yeah, really exciting. This is kind of what people were hoping for. We got one of the quote-unquote Reddit wishes has been completed, besides the Ross newcomer inclusion, which people also were hoping for, which thankfully happened on Red. And yeah, very cool team. Obviously, it being on Cyan makes sense. This is also, again, as expected, with there being a newcomer on Red, newcomer on Green. We expected no newcomer, but a hype team on Cyan, and then Pink having newcomers, which is the case. We'll get to that later. And yeah, very interesting. Anyways, that's the Cyan team. Moving on to Aqua team. Also a thing we kind of were hoping for, and it happened. Pete and H are back on the same team. Very reminiscent of MCC Season 1, where they were paired up a good amount of times, and glad to see them back. Both Pete and H have been having some lesser, some worse events, I guess, as of recent, and very glad to see that they are able to be teamed together. Together with Kara and Eloise makes for a very fun team as well. Pete and Kara's like iconic, really. They team up together quite a lot, and Eloise and H also teamed together really recently, I'm fairly sure, together with I want to say Haley and Rendog. I could be wrong. They teamed together in Party, I'm fairly sure. I could be wrong, but I think so. Regardless, super fun team, and could be a pretty scary one. It depends on what games are included, but this feels like a really, really good team, but a definitely really fun one. I'm looking forward to seeing how it does in MCC, which, by the way, MCC is on May 3rd. I don't know if I've mentioned that yesterday, but May 3rd is when this event will be. Next up is the blue team, which is as follows. Now, if you watch the Wolfie But More video, or if you're on the Reddit, or if you just, are active within MCC news, etc., you'll know that Fine and X was a leaked duo to be in this event. We knew this in advance, that Feinberg and Azuma were going to be on the same team. However, we did not know that Cubfin and Michaela were going to be on this team. And I think that makes for a really interesting combo. Fine and Cub did just actually, maybe most recent time Feinberg played, they were on the same team. I don't remember if this was Haunted Hoedown or the one before, or the one after, rather. No, the most recent event was MCC Party with Bad Boy Halo for Feinberg. So this was Haunted Hoedown. Cub and Fine were on the same team. Makes sense for them to be on the same team yet again. And Michaela being on this team is very interesting. It's kind of not somebody I would have expected to be here, but I think it'll make for a really nice bit of contrast on the team, considering that Michaela is generally a bit more high energy, whereas I think Cub and X are a bit more on the chill end, and Fine can be kind of either or depending on the team. So this should make for a really interesting dynamic all across the board. Very interesting. So yeah, cool team. Thumbs up. Next up, Purple Pandas, which consists of Puffy, Shane, Ryan, and Sniff. Makes for a really fun squad again as well. Puffy being in is a little surprising, not necessarily because Puffy hasn't played recently, but because Puffy seemed like they were not going to be in regular MCCs, which this MCC probably is considerably regular compared to the rest of the events, which is interesting. Fun to see Puffy back in rotation. Obviously, Shane is a regular. He was not in Party 2, I think, so it makes sense for him to be back. Ryan as well. Ryan and Shane is possibly a duo that has been asked for, at least by them. Ryan and Shane are pretty good friends. And Sniff being here, of course. My goat. My dodgeball goat. You'd love to see it. Should be a fun one. Should be an interesting team all combined. Definitely one to watch out for. And finally, we have the pink team, which is maybe the biggest plot twist of all time. I'll explain after we look at it, because it's a French team. The French have made their way into MCC regularly. Even Sandwich here going, I'm not even going to try. Holy smokes in French. Either way, a French team in regular MCC. Very cool, very nice. You love to see it. Cool. I am a little surprised and confused, but we'll talk about that later. Apierre, Etoile, Mathox or Mathox, and Presea or Presia or however you would pronounce that, I'm sorry. Fun team. Mathox and Apierre played in Twitch Rivals EU. They were on the red team. They got last. And then Etoile is a person who previously was really hyped up to potentially join MCC. Somebody who I definitely was also hoping to see at some point. Did not expect it to be this event. And then Presea, I'm personally unfamiliar with, but I'm sure they fit here perfectly fine. And yeah, should be a really interesting team. The French making an appearance in a regular MCC, at least for what we expect to be a regular MCC. And then probably also making another appearance in the next event. For all we know, there could be a French Pride team. Maybe they take over entirely. But very exciting to see another non-English team in a regular MCC, rather than just being a Spanish one, or I think it was a Peruvian one last time. Now a French one, which is very cool. Either way, we have some stuff to talk about. Hey, it's me in-game Minecraft. So these are the teams, as you can see over here. We have 4 newcomers this event, and that makes sense. 4 newcomers. We have technically new returning players with Mathox and Apierre. We have some returning players in general, some people who haven't really played much, Ollie Gamers. Toby doesn't really play in the regular MCCs much. Puffy being back, cool. Amy being back, cool, right? Mythical Sausage doesn't play that often. So generally speaking, we have a good amount of returning people and new people, similar to the first event back. However, this time around, the comp is a lot higher, which is interesting. I didn't expect a first MCC to be a higher comp event, but this one definitely looks a little scary. Regardless, this was the randomizer prediction, which is quite funny. The French win, and they also won the coin flip for Dodgebolt, so potentially the French end up making Dodgebolt and win according to the randomizer. I wouldn't count on it. But more notably, something that I wanted to look at is who is missing. The thing this time around, and as per usual, we don't know who signs up for each MCC. We don't know who gets benched for each MCC unless they reveal it themselves, etc. There are a lot of regulars not in this event, whether they couldn't make it or whether they got benched or whatever. It's very interesting. Impulse, Skiz, Rendog, some Hermits that we thought were going to be in, most likely because they've been really active as of recent, are not in this event. Obviously, completely fine, could happen, whatever. But it's very peculiar that, hey, we're missing these people. Grian, some people expected as well. Makes sense that he's not in. I wouldn't really expect him to be in MCC that regularly. But SB, again, not in this event. 5UP, not in this event. He's been on his event arc. I would be surprised if he didn't sign up, so just not in this event again. Callum, like one of the main MCC people nowadays, not in this event. Becky, who I thought would be in almost every event, not in this event. Mock Swamp, again, somebody who you would expect to be in this event, not here. Snig Snag, not here. Furthermore, obviously more Hermits, Gem, Etho, Pearl. I expected them to not be in. Martin, not in this event. Fruit Berries, not in this event. Shelby, also another notable one. Just in general, there's a lot of people that you would expect to be in most MCCs who are not in this one, which is both a positive and a negative. I think the amount of regulars that are missing is a little but they're being regular people who aren't included is good, because that, creates diverse rosters, or a bit more diverse rosters, and that's interesting. Overall, though, my thoughts on the teams this time around are kind of mixed. I don't know. Overall, I'm positive towards it. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in this roster. Obviously, the French team inclusion, Very, very different. Very cool. I like the Cyan and Aqua teams a lot. Those are two types of teams that we were essentially hoping for. As you can see in the predictions, the community was hoping for that to be a thing, and it was, which is very cool. Obviously, green team was a notable one. Red team was an expected one. There is a lot of cool stuff on the board here. I guess it's just a first event of the season where you don't really know what to expect. We were basing it off of MCC Season 4 kickoff, and you can understand when this is your frame of reference. Ignore that, your frame of reference, then yeah, your expectations may be a little, you know, a little thrown up in the air, a little up in the air, a little confused. But regardless, I think it's a fun roster. I think it's cool. I am curious to see how the rest of MCC this year will shape up. I think a lot of the people that are not included this time around, you'll either see in Pride or in Rivals. For example, Martin and Ren are confirmed to be in Rivals. We won't know if they're on the same team. Could be on the same team. We don't know. Shelby, I think, is highly likely to be in Rivals. And then Pride as well. Martin and Shelby and like Haley could be in Pride. And plenty of other people could make an appearance across the board. Becky also in Rivals, etc. Right? But it's just interesting. It's just interesting that this is what we have. And it's interesting. It's cool. I like it. I like it. But it's also very cool, peculiar to see the expectations of the viewer base, because there was a lot of people convinced that there was going to be a lifesteal rep, and aside from Hannah, of course, so we're talking about a new lifesteal rep, SB potentially included. We thought that would maybe happen. We were wondering what could pink be, if that's green, if that's red, if that's, you know, cyan. Well, cyan makes sense. But if red is red and green is green, what is pink? Well, this is pink. The French. They took over. The French. All right. Anyways, makes sense. Hope everyone had fun. For anyone who tuned into the streams, of course, I really appreciate you for tuning in. Again, there seems to be a lot of hype towards this specific MCC, because I'm fairly sure at some point the stream had like 700 viewers. I didn't really look, but I looked afterwards because people were pointing it out in the chat. That's cool. And yeah, overall excited. Hope you're excited as well. MCC taking place May 3rd, I want to say. Let me make sure. Yes, May 3rd at 8 p.m. BST, which is 3 p.m. Eastern Time. 9 p.m. if you're Dutch. I don't know how many Dutch people are in the audience. So yeah, hope you're excited. And that's it. All right, bye.